My name is Quenisha, and I will be giving you informative information of the different forms of execution that's handed down by each state that imposes the death penalty law. The first one is electrocution, execution through electricity. For the execution by the electric chair, the prisoner is shaved and strapped to a chair with belts that crosses their chest, their groin, their legs, arms, and a metal scalp is attached to the forehead over a sponge moistened with saline. The sponge cannot be too wet or the saline short circuit the electric current, and not too dry or it will have a high resistance. The warden signals the executioner who pulls a handle to connect to the power supply. A jolt between 500 and 2,000 volts, which lasts about 30 seconds. The doctor waits a few seconds until the body cools down, and then he see if the prisoner is dead. The next one is the lethal injection. The prisoner is bound to a gurney, and a member of the execution team positions several heat monitors on the skin. A harmless saline solution is started immediately. Then, at the warden's signal, a curtain is raised, exposing the inmate to the witness and adjusting room. Then the inmate is injected with sodium thiopental, an anesthetic, which put the inmate to sleep. Next flows Palvon, which paralyzes the entire muscle systems and stops the inmate from breathing. Finally, potassium chloride stops the heart. Death results from anesthetic overdose and respiratory and cardiac arrest, while the condemned prisoner is unconscious. The gas chamber. It condemns a person to stop. It condemns a person and strapped to a chair in an airtight chambers. Below the chair, right down here, rests a pail of sulfur acid. A long stethoscope is typically affixed to the inmate so the doctor outside the chamber can pronounce the prisoner dead. The room is sealed after everyone has left. The warden then gives a signal to the executioner, who flicks a lever that releases crystal of sodium cyanide into the pail. The cause of chemical reaction that release hydrogen cyanide gas. The prisoner is instructed to breathe deeply to speed up the process. The sensation has been described similar to the pain felt as if the prisoner was having a heart attack. The inmate dies from hypoxia, the cutting off oxygen of the brain. The firing squad. The inmate is bound to a chair with leather straps across the waist and head in front of an oval shaped canvas well. The chair is surrounded by sandbags to absorb the inmate blood. A black hood is pulled over the inmate head, standing in an enclosure 20 feet away from 5 shooters and armed with 30 caliber rifles loaded with a single round. One of the shooters is given blank rounds. Each of the shooter aims his rifle through a slot in the canvas and begins to fire at the inmate. The reason for this is so no one actually knows who killed the prisoner, because some people, regardless of their field they're in, cannot handle knowing that the person's death is on their hand. The last one is hanging. The inmate may be weighed the day before the execution, and a rehearsal is done using a sandbag of the same weight of the prisoner. This is determined the length of the drop necessary to ensure a quick death. The rope, which should be 3/4 inches to 1/4 inches of diameter, must be built and stretched to eliminate springing, or coiling. The knot should be lubricated with wax or soap to ensure a smooth sliding before the execution. The prisoner's hands and legs are secured. He or she is blindfolded on the noose and placed around the neck with a knot behind the left ear. The execution takes place with a trap door is open and the prisoner fall through. The prisoner's weight should cause a rapid fracture dislocation of the neck. Those are all the different forms of the death penalty, but each state have their own way of which death penalty they will choose.